how do we translate the word? First technique, first principle, first teaching, something along those lines. Why is it first? Is it? Yeah, it might be. We call it that for historical reasons, but I don't know, and I don't know of anyone who does know why these things were ordered the way they were from probably the Daikoku days. It was Ikajo and Ikajo, Sankajo, and this sort of thing. So, we're sort of left to speculate, but it's an evolving art. I've come to view Ikkyo, Nikkyo, and Sankyo as falling into two different categories broadly. We can look at them as anatomical expressions. Ikkyo is predominantly whole arm pronation. Pronation versus supination. Nikkyo is primarily wrist flexion, but very often with forearm pronation and upper arm supination, so that these things are going in opposite directions. So you can describe these things using basic anatomical terms: wrist flexion, forearm pronation, upper arm supination. And if you try to do it to yourself, you can feel it disrupting your structure all the way through. Sankyo is forearm pronation and frequently elbow flexion, but mainly this forearm pronation. So you can see Ikkyo and Sankyo often blend together. But in another category, and this is something I just made up, but I find it useful to think about these things. We do Ikkyo, and we focus on the full arm pronation. Why? Why do we want to twist somebody's arm? What does that do for us? Well, it connects to here. And once this is here, it's no longer supported by here. And so once that's the case, we have freedom to move straight down. So we can accomplish this with very big movements, big circular stuff. I'm still pronating his arm and displacing his shoulder off of his hips. But the real purpose is this. Once you have this, you have that. So when viewed this way, closer to the root effect, if I can put it this way, it becomes shonen-cut. All we need is the shoulders displaced off the pedestal of the hips. And once this is so, we can do this. We can't always get into his shoulder. We're often interacting with him here, or here, or here. And so we use what we've got. If we think about this as twisting his arm, that's fine, but we're missing the end purpose of getting this off of this. Once this is off of that, you don't need to keep twisting and twisting and twisting. It only needs to be a little bit here, and then you've got it. So understanding the anatomical principle of Ikkyo is one necessary understanding. Understanding the geometric principle, which I've come to see Ikkyo as the principle of the straight line, typically aligned with gravity. So we have a very efficient path to Ikkyo. Not yet, because I've twisted his arm, but I haven't done that. So I have not the fullness of Ikkyo. There. That's all I need. Okay. So, what about Nikkyo then? We talked about Nikkyo as an anatomic principle. What might Nikkyo be as a geometric principle? And again, I'm not stating this with any definitive, authoritative, final thing. This is just one way of looking at it, a way of making sense out of why these things might be rightly ordered 1, 2, and 3, each Nissan. What is Nikkyo? We're getting warm. Nikkyo wants to be Ikkyo, because in a sense, all things want to be Ikkyo. All things in their simplest form are going to be in motion, this straight line. But when you have a straight line or something moving on a straight line that is perturbed by other forces, then you get a curve or a wave. So if I'm wanting to do Ikkyo, but it stops here, then it needs to go somewhere else. So it can come over here. Now we have a little bit of that. And I could finish with Ikkyo here. It could now become Ikkyo. But maybe he sinks his hips a little bit and it comes back this way. So it has to come this way. Well, now I'm pushing on it again, and so I'm applying the force not really going where it's going. And so I need to shift back to here again, and however many times. And again, I'm exaggerating this a bit so that you can see this beautiful curving, wavy, straight line, but that's being perturbed by other forces. Stops. Here, 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 here. Okay, that's a long way around, but sometimes we have to go around obstacles to get to the straightest path we want to go. So it's just a suggestion. What about Sankyo? Okay, Sankyo can come bring us back to Ikkyo, which is the straight line. But yeah, you had a thought.
Well, Sankyo, you're raising the elbow, so you move it, so you're not, I guess you're trying to make them lighter and off balance.
We can also do Sankyo this way. So it isn't always this. Once we have this connection here, I can come up this way, but I can also go this way. But at least all of the expressions that I showed earlier, this one, and that one, the same one really stretched out, and even this other one, all have something in common. Yeah. Okay, so if we have a straight line and a curve, and we say spiral, but technically a helix, then we have a way to explore our Aikido in 1 dimension, in 2 dimensions, and 3 dimensions. So again, I don't know how this will help your training, but it helps me at a minimum to think about what am I really doing here? Am I really trying to accomplish how to twist his arm, or is the twisting his arm in order to get to something more fundamental, more basic, straight line? So sometimes we need to make sure that our focus on our techniques or the other person's anatomy, our own anatomy, don't interfere with our clearer vision of the truth of just this. we're still warming up. Take new partners and just experiment with all of your Ikkyo, Nikkyo, and Sankyo, very gently with one another, but try to see the resulting geometries that are underlying